3 hunters walking through a frozen forest. The nun trudged through the icy forest, her black clothing becoming stained with snow. She gripped her golden cross and mumbled a prayer. As Mary finishes her prayer, she realizes Henry is carrying the bomb lance. Mary asked Henry, "Out of all the weapons you've picked, why?" Henry rests his weapon on his shoulder, then answers, "Because it will turn that monstrosity into a red mist when I hit it." Jack looks over towards Henry, then responds, "That if you hit the damn thing." Jack then checks to see if his Sparks rifle is loaded. The group moved forward. They heard an unsettling, inhuman scream off in the distance beyond the trees, enough for it to echo through the woods as crows fly away. The scream by itself sounded desperate and angry, yet fearful. Mary racks the pump of her Spectre shotgun. Jack, carrying his Sparks rifle, cocks the hammer back, and Henry gets into a fighting stance with the bomb lance. As they moved forward into the forest, one of the hunters made a hand gesture to hold position. The snow felt more cold than usual, as if a ghost was in their presence. Everyone formed a triangle back to back, preparing themselves for what's next. As Henry adjusts his foot, he steps on a branch that then snaps. The hunters stood as still as a statue, looking through the area and paying attention to any small detail. They heard footsteps coming towards them. The footsteps pressing on the snow, while each step gets louder. The hunters spread apart to cover more ground as they ready their weapon, pointing towards the directions of the noise. The group is prepared to fight and banish the monster to hell, but are fearful of the Wendigo. Each of the hunters hear their own hearts beating slowly, racing with each step closing in. Henry starts to grip his weapon more firmly, but scared. Mary starts breathing more deeply as she mentally prepares herself for the worst, as Jack holds up his rifle, ready than ever to fire, but is tense in his muscles. A zombie grunt walks past a tree, revealing itself. Mary, Henry, and Jack lower their weapons and sigh in relief. Everyone chuckles, and Henry then tells his partners that he'll take care of the infected. As Henry moves forward, Jack notices movement behind the zombie, only to realize that it was the Wendigo was preparing to make a move towards Henry. The creature stormed forward, its decaying hands outstretched with sharp, black claws. Jack brought up his rifle, took aim, fired at the creature. The Wendigo gashed across Henry's face. "Fuck!" he screamed, bringing his hands to his face and falling against a tree. The Wendigo tumbled onto the ground and let out an inhuman scream that rocked the trees, causing the group's ears to ring and distort their vision. Henry started to crawl towards his bomb lance. The creature's deafening cry caused his ears to bleed. Jack, covering his ears and grinding his teeth from pain. Mary's eyes and ears screamed in pain. Desperately, she tried to reach her Spectre. As Mary aimed her gun at the monster, the beast quickly moved, avoiding the shot from her weapon. Mary continues to fire, while the Wendigo dodges each of her shots with ease, the monster closing in quickly and avoiding being hit with each attempt that Mary tries. The Wendigo gets close enough that then pounces towards Mary, but she reacts quickly and ducked, barely avoiding decapitation, leaving a scratch on her neck. Mary turned around to see the monster on a tree, looking at her as if it was daring her to make the next move. She pointed her Spectre toward it to fire, but the weapon clicked. "Shit!" Mary said, panicking. The monstrosity started to pounce towards Mary. As she pulled out her Caldwell, the beast landed on her, knocking her down to the ground with it. The monster raised its arm and extended its claws to finish Mary. A bullet soared through the air and slammed into the Wendigo's shoulder. The beast's head snapped to the left and hissed like a snake was provoked. Jack, in panic, drew his officer and aimed at the hulking creature. "Burn in hell!" The creature recoiled as the bullets made contact. The monster braced itself against a tree and leapt forward. Jack, with frozen muscles, watched in terror as the creature flew through the air, its claws inches from his face, when suddenly a small click went off. Then a spike flew through the air towards the monster, impaling and sending it out of view into the woods. Seconds later, a boom rocked the trees, and following it a loud screech. Mary and Jack looked over to see Henry, dripping blood from his face, as if a tiger cut across it, sitting against the tree with the bomb lance pointing towards Jack. Mary, knowing that the creature was sent away from them, she went to attend to Henry, seeing how deep the cuts were on his face. Jack, reloading his Sparks rifle, says, "Patch Henry up, I'll keep lookout." Mary quickly bandages Henry's face, knowing that the Wendigo will come back very soon. Mary pulls out medical bandages, then starts wrapping Henry's face to stop the bleeding. "That was a close one," said Henry. "I know," Mary said in relief. As Mary finished aiding Henry, the monster was quietly and carefully getting into position for its next attack, even though it knew it was severely hurt, with a large hole in its torso while dripping black blood. The beast knew it was close to killing the hunters. The Wendigo then picks up a rock, then moves into position. Jack heard movement in the bushes towards his right. Jack turned to the bush and readied his rifle. Ready then, ever he moves his finger to the trigger, preparing himself. Mary and Henry recovered, and then stood up, grabbed her weapon, then loading 2 shells of 12-gauge Dragon's breath into her shotgun and 2 buckshot. As Henry is reloading his bomb lance, he then asks Jack, "Did you hear something?" Jack then responds, "It might be behind a rock," then flies towards and hits Jack, causing him to flinch and accidentally firing his weapon. The Wendigo, seeing an opportunity to attack, the monster jumps towards Jack, then sliced his neck clean, decapitating him. As Jack's head falls to the ground, along with his body dropping like a rag doll, Mary and Henry were shocked and terrified to see that Jack was the first one to go. Before they even realize it, the Wendigo struck Henry in the back, causing him to collapse onto the ground and die. Mary, realizing that she's the last one left alive, pulls out her Spectre shotgun and fires 2 Dragon's Breath shells into the monster, causing it to ignite into flames like a bonfire. The Wendigo, screaming in pain and agony, but still standing and breathing heavily from the scorching flames. The monster turns to Mary, about to charge towards her. As Mary is about to fire the last 2 shells, her gun jams. Mary realizes that she's out of options and needs to retreat to hide. She then pulls out a modified choke bomb that she throws at the Wendigo. The choke bomb then detonates instantly, causing the monster to become disoriented and coughing hard. As the flames extinguish, Mary takes the chance to run away and hide. The Wendigo barely sees Mary running away. The beast, seeing an opportunity to recover, then goes towards Jack's body, then digs and cleaves his torso open, tearing open the rib cage, and eats away aggressively like a lion that hasn't eaten in days. Mary, knowing she broke line of sight from the monster, loops around towards Henry's and Jack's body, were last seen. Mary, looking to see what the situation is, knowing she's in no condition to fight it alone, she then pulls out her Derringer, looking at it hopelessly. Mary thinks to herself, looking at the Derringer, "I might as well be throwing pebbles." She then looks at Jack, seeing him already dead, and the Wendigo eating him. Then she looks towards Henry, knowing his head and limbs are still intact. She then remembers that Henry did severely wounded the monster with the bomb lance, thinking that Henry is their only chance at successfully killing the Wendigo. She then goes into dark sight and uses necromancer to resurrect him, as Mary is doing everything she can to stay conscious while her head is pounding from a headache. Henry's body slowly jolting and twitching back to life. Blood coming from Mary's eyes, nose, and ears, barely clinging on to her life, in her last effort to bring Henry to life, starts to feel tired and weak. Henry then awakens, taking a deep breath in. Mary then collapses to the ground, passing away. Henry is confused and still grasping on to what happened, seeing Jack being eaten by the Wendigo, then seeing Mary in the bushes, laying lifeless. Henry then slowly and carefully grabs his bomb lance. The Wendigo notices Henry picking up his weapon and then screams at him. Upon seeing this, Henry points his weapon towards the monster as the Wendigo charges and pounces towards him. Henry, terrified that the monster is getting closer as each split second passes, he then fires his bomb lance at the beast. The spear flies through the air, then directly hitting the monster in the eye, mid-air, then explodes, popping the Wendigo's head. It was like seeing a watermelon explode mid-air, but more blackish red. The beast hand then lands on Henry's leg, along with its other bodily remains. Henry spoke in fear and relief. Fucking Christ! In shock that he managed to kill the beast. He realizes that he is breathing too quickly. He then takes one deep breath and calmly blows out in relief. Henry kicks off the Wendigo's hand and slowly stands up in pain from his injuries. He knew that the beast is dead, considering its body is blown to bits and is not moving. He then looks around to see Jack has been ripped open and decapitated. Starting to feel sad, he then looks for Mary. Before Henry has a chance to call for Mary, he then sees her, lifeless, along the tree line. He then rushes to her. "Mary!" Henry yelled in a desperate cry. He then fell onto his knees and held her in his arms. Feeling overwhelmed by sadness, he then cries loudly and starts begging for her to come back, hugging Mary tightly, then asking God, why them? Why not me? Looking up to see the Wendigo's head, half of its head missing. A huge sense of rage went into him, holding back his anger. Temporarily, he then laid Mary on her back. Henry then walks and breathes aggressively towards the monster's head. As he's about to kick the beast's head, he then realizes that Mary and Jack would have wanted him to do what is right, but no when the fight is over. He then puts his feet down from kicking the head of the monster. He tries to hold back his tears and anger towards the beast. He then looks up towards the moon, knowing that he's alone. Henry starts to calm down, but know what needs to be done, taking a deep breath in and out slowly. He then gathers the remains of the Wendigo to place them in one pile. He then starts the banish, causing lightning to strike the beast and finally sending the monstrosity to hell. As the banish begins, he didn't want Mary and Jack to just lay there on the ground. He wanted to give them a proper burial. He then picks up his bomb lance and attaches an shovel head to the weapon, then starts to dig 2 graves for the only people he cared for and cared for him. As the banish completes, Henry adds the final rock to Mary and Jack's grave. Knowing that he lived to die another day, he continues to stand strong for himself with all the lessons that Mary and Jack taught him from hand-to-hand fights and range weapons. Henry realizes that the banish is done and collects the bounty, which appears to be a dream catcher with a dark coin in the center with scratches that glow like burning wood amber. He puts the dream catcher on his waist and takes one final look at graves he made for Mary and Jack. Henry, looking at the people he cared about, he wanted to do a prayer for both of them. Even though he never prayed before he gave one, after a couple minutes had passed, he then said, "Goodbye, Mary. Goodbye, Jack. I really gonna miss y'all." Henry then walks into the woods, disappearing into the trees.